Shalom, Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rukah Quadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rukah Quadash. So this is just an article I found because I was typing in basically the end of Western civilization, which is, we kind of use those statements or those words, Salakia, all the time. And basically we're referring to the end of Babylon, the end of America, the end of Americanism, basically, the end of Babylon the Great, which is America, the end of, the dominion of Esau on the earth, pretty much, the rulership, all right, which really goes back to the ancient Roman Empire. So this is the end of, modern, like it says here. So I'm going to read some of this. I came across this article and I'm going to read some of it here, because it's got some good information there, and then I'm going to read some scriptures, because this is a decline. This is the end of this kingdom, man. And we can see it. The morality is deprived. What they pump in the media, what they put in the movies, it's just all depravity, man, which is a clear sign of the end of this place. And like we've said for years, all right, the 1970s, the end of like the Vietnam War was like the beginning of that, because or just a little bit prior, but the Vietnam War, what happened with the Vietnam War in America, in the world predominantly, a lot of people came back strung out on drugs, and drugs became a big thing, because that's what the war was about anyway. It was about drugs and the control of the drugs trade in Southeast Asia. But pretty much the drugs and the depravity of society became prevalent in that time. So I'm going to read this here. So it says, modern Western civilization reached a pinnacle in the last half of the 20th century, spending over 200 years evolving and spreading throughout the world a robust social contract, technological advancement, and pervasive economic success in the context of democracy and capitalism propelled the project. Unfortunately, two underlying pillars of past success developed, intensifying negative consequences, hastening social economic decline, insatiable collective wants, and global population growth. The rise and decline of civilizations in history is well documented. Exactly. And where is the rise and decline of nations more documented than the scriptures? The scriptures documents the rise and decline of every great empire that existed. All right. Every great empire that existed, going from the Babylonians, beginning with Nimrod, the Tower of Babel, going into the Babylonians, the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greeks, the Romans, all right? And then now, even the Middle Ages, we know about that history. It rose and it declined, which was Jake ruling, but it rose and it declined. So the point is the great kingdoms are documented where? In the scriptures. The Lord give them power to rise, and then he ended up making them decline, which is what's happening now. All right. So it says, the capitalism propelled the project. Unfortunately, I'll read this again. Social contract, Salakia. Okay, social contract, technological advancement and pervasive economic success in the context of democracy. Yeah, and that's another thing with this world as well. The so-called technology is supposed to be, technology like these mobile phones, and which we use it for the truth. These computers, mobile phones, and stuff like that. But really, all this technology in this world has destroyed the society. For example, like an example is the children of today, for example, the youths of today, they don't even play outside anymore. They don't play sports anymore. They don't, hang out with their friends anymore, growing up outside, learning through first-hand experiences. The children of today are all stuck, glued on iPads and computers. Little children, they're not even playing out anymore. So there's a lot of things that, this so-called technology of Esau has done that's really destroyed the world, man. All right, so I'm going to read this here anyway. I'm going to keep reading, which is the Lord that allowed him to do this anyway. So technological advancements and pervasive economic success in the context of democracy and capitalism propelled the project. Unfortunately, two underlying pillars of past success developed, intensifying negative consequences, hastening social economic decline, insatiable collective wants, and global population growth. I'm gonna keep reading. The rise and decline of civilizations in history is well documented in the scriptures in the Bible, yet oddly ignored. Exactly, like this society. I'm gonna read it in Peter's, but in Peter's it mentions a kingdom of old that was an example unto those that should live ungodly, Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Which was cities that were flourishing at one point, but the Lord destroyed because of their depravity. All right. But guess what? The so-called white man and his civilization today has gone above and beyond that Sodom and Gomorrah, for example. So they know the ways of old, but have ignored it, which is going to hasten which is going to bring their great destruction, man. So it's ignored. So it says, and every civilization that rose up, or every kingdom, when they were at their peak, they forgot about, basically when you're at your peak, you just get proud. Basically, you're in power. You forget about the things of old, man. You continue on thinking like you're gods. You're writing the rules. Then you get brought down, man, which is what's happening now. All right. So it says civilization is assumed to be, yet oddly ignored in today's dialogue. Like today, people will tell, if you read the Bible, they'll say, that's Bible times. Now we're in these times. Bro, these dummies don't understand is that you're still living in biblical times, man. That's what they'll always say. If you tell them, look, the way you're living's wrong, they'll tell you, no, that was biblical times. That was biblical times. Well, you're still living in biblical times today. That nothing ain't changed. So it says, well documented yet oddly ignored in today's dialogue, contemporary civilization is assumed to be immune from forces that shape cycles of past civilizations, that our age is somehow an exception. Yeah, that our age, like this, like for example, the way the LGBTQ, for example, the feminism, the whole structure of this place, man, the justice system in this place, all right? It's all corrupt, man. So it says that our age is somehow an exception for the first time in human history. Yeah, meaning, so let me read that part again, Salakia, because it says in today's dialogue, contemporary civilization is assumed to be immune from forces that shaped cycles of past civilizations. Yeah, like the way they talk today is, like the scriptures are a thing of the past, basically. You're living in biblical times today, man. Just like kingdoms rose of old and were brought down, it's the same thing today. This kingdom is risen up, all right? And it's going to be brought down, man. See, that's the same thing we've said over the years. You really think that, and the pinnacle of Western civilization is America, which is in the Bible, Mystery Babylon or Babylon the Great. People think that pretty much like there's been all these great kingdoms of war and evil and stuff in this world, and the Lord just forgot about America. No. America's written in the Bible. It's everywhere in the scriptures, man. You just got to know the breakdowns to understand it. But America is known as Mystery Babylon or Babylon the Great, man. So it says, civilization is assumed to be immune from forces that shape cycles of past civilizations, that our age is somehow an exception. For the first time in human history, planetary systems that seemed invisible until recently are sending us the message that our civilization is not exceptional, that there are finite limits to the thrust of humanity's present trajectory, viable solutions curbing the effects of habitat destruction, diminishing biodiversity and climate change, along with rising inequality, debt, conflict, and refugee flows are known but unimplementable. The current essay examines underlying causes of socio-economic deterioration and entrapment, suggesting a comprehensive collective intelligence enterprise be launched to prepare for the global transition facing humanity. Keywords: Western civilization, liberal tradition, human nature, population, inequality, debt. It says, we live at a time of unique contradictions, confusions and uncertainties. The material quality of life for the average person in a developed world exceeds that of pre-industrial aristocracy, yet inequality has been increasing since the early 90s. That's in this world, pretty much you've got like so-called societies developed, right? And people are, able to work and earn this amount of money, live in this place, but it's really got worse, man. Because when you look at this place, let's say Britain or the UK, or this Europe or America, for example. Let's say America in the 1950s, 60s, families were more together. Families were together. The men went out to work. The women stayed at home, cooked, clean for the family. Then you had the age of feminism and all these different issues that that was created by the Amalekites, by the so-called Jews. And what do you have today? You have depravity, man. The daughter wants to be a whore. The son's in and out of prison. The family's just destroyed. Everyone's divorced. Families have been totally destroyed. But then but we're living in the so-called futuristic technological time. But the base, not the base, but not to say the base, but the structure of things is destroyed. All right, kids think they're more. Kids think they know more than adults. It's all backwards, man. So it says it here. It says we live at a time of unique contradictions, confusions. This is what it is. It's confusion, the land of confusions, man, and uncertainties. The material quality of life for the average person in the developed world exceeds that of the pre-industrial aristocracy. Yet inequality has been increasing since the early 1980s, leaving many to feel left behind. For socio-economic groups below the top 20%, traditional avenues of personal advancement are failing, resulting in an entrenched underclass, ghettoized in both urban and rural areas. Poverty reduction in the developing world has been more successful than doubters originally thought, but overall progress toward the UN Millennial Development Goals is decelerating. While in that, I mean, this is pretty much the point. Pretty much, it's just the article that I was reading here, just basically touching on basically the end of the Western civilization, man. All right, the confusion of the place, how it's basically, pretty much, you've got all these. We live in a so-called first, like now, for example, we live here in the UK, in England, and they're saying there's going to be an energy crisis. There's, which we know is all set up. But how can you think about it like this? How can you live in a so-called developed place, but they're telling you, you can't have heat in this winter, or you have to cut down on, and we live in the so-called, you have to cut down on you're not going to have, people are going to have blackouts in their houses and things like that. But we live in the so-called developed first world. This is the end of this place, man. The morality, the living standards. Even when you see parts of America, man, some of those parts of America look like third world countries, man. People in so-called third world countries are living better than some parts of America. There's drugs everywhere. There's crime at an all-time high rate. There's homelessness. And this is supposedly Europe and America and whatnot, supposedly the first world. This is hell, man. This is the end of the Western civilization, man. That whole, that's that skirt of Esau being revealed, man. So I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this here. This is Nahum 3 from 1. It says, "Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robberies. The prey departeth not." And what's the bloody city? That's Babylon the Great, which is America. All right. Is known as what? The bloody city. And why is it bloody? Because how was it formed, man? It was formed off of wickedness. And it was formed off of rape, robbery, and murder. And then the Lord allowed it to go on till the days that we're in now. But America at one point had, it was decadent. Everyone wanted to go there. There's money to be made. The families were in order. But now look at it, man. Everyone's seeing it for what it is. It's a place full of lies, robberies. All right. Crime. You can never be safe. The truth of it is coming out in these end days. All right, so I'm going to go to verse 4. Verse 4, it says, "Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts." And this is America, Babylon the Great, all right? This is part of the decline of the Western civilization, because it says, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, which is Babylon the Great, Mystery Babylon, which is America, the mistress of witchcrafts. Yes, because you see, when you see them old footages of them crackers back in the 40s and 50s, you see their families all together. The white woman's got the so-called Edomite woman's got the long dresses on. She's baking pies. That white picket fence spirit. Pretty much, they have the pet. They have like 3-4 kids, and they're all in order, respectful. But that was all a facade, man. because the truth of it is all coming out now. All right, the truth of it's coming out. The fact that that land was how it was founded, first of all, and also the founding fathers of America were all Masons. They were witches. They were warlocks. A lot of them came from Britain and places in Europe, you know, places like England, Plymouth. People from Plymouth went to the Americas, and a lot of them founding fathers and the women that got there were witches, warlocks, all sorts, man. Salem, Massachusetts, known for witches and warlocks, man. So that's the base founders of America were those fucking devils, man. And that mirage image that they gave to the world is being stripped off now. So it says, the mistress of witchcraft that selleth nations through her whoredoms. All right. And it sells nations through her whoredoms, man. All right. And families through her witchcrafts, man. Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I'll discover thy skirts. And that's what the Lord's doing now. He's discovering your skirts. See, the end of Western civilization, part of it is the discoverance of your skirts, meaning your laws, how the place was founded, the corruption of the place, the evil of the place. All right. This is because I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness and the kingdoms thy shame. And that's what now everyone wants a piece of America, because they've all so-called laid in bed with the harlot. All the nations made money, done deals, but then that came at a cost. The nations that have done deals with America, so the Moab, Ammon, all these different nations, Elam, whoever it is that's laid in bed with the well-favored harlot, that came at a cost. All right, because their culture gets infiltrated by the Western culture, which is whoredom, which is corruption. Their women all of a sudden don't want to be covered up. Their women want to be sluts. With all these nations. That's why them Ishmael, not even Ishmael, but them Iraqis and Afghanis, they were fighting so hard because they don't want their women to become like that. Till this day, they're fighting against America because they don't want their people to be under the influence of the devil, basically. And you can see the difference when you see like the Saudi Arabians and the people in Dubai and all that, which lay in bed with America. Look at the difference in their society and look at the rest of the Middle Eastern world. Saudi Arabia and stuff, you go there's Gucci stores, bitches with fake bums and, in Dubai and all that. Like, why? Because they have the influence of America. They've taken that deal. But it comes at a cost. Your kingdom, you take a deal with the devil, it comes at a cost. You get corrupted. Your people become corrupted. The laws are all unjust because the devil's ruling over you, man. Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness and the kingdoms thy shame. And that's what the Lord's doing now. That's why all the other nations, Iran, China, Russia, these other nations, they want a piece of America now. They want to destroy America, basically. That's the spirit the Lord's put on the earth, the destruction of Babylon, basically. All right. So this is I'm gonna read here. This is 2 Peter 2:6. It says, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemn them with an overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. And that's what's modern Sodom and Gomorrah? America, man. Europe, America, England, for example, the UK, Sodom and Gomorrah, man. Or London in particular. The UK is Sodom and Gomorrah. America's Sodom and Gomorrah, man. The men want to be with the men. The women want to be with the women. No one ain't reproducing. They want to destroy each other anyway. But this is the point. The Lord said, so the Lord said he's going to nuke this place just like he did like Sodom and Gomorrah, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. Exactly. So it's an example. So these devils in going back into that article, they've disacknowledged the kingdoms of old, man. Meaning their decline, how they went down. Because if these Edomites, which they're the wicked anyway, which is the Amalek and whatnot, the so-called Jews, if they were so righteous, they would live. That's another deception, Salaki, because I forgot to mention this. Another deception is this: they professed that they were biblical people. They professed they were righteous people. They held the Bible in one hand and taught lies on the other hand. So that that alone you're going to be destroyed. You held the Lord's book and you didn't live by it. See? So Sodom and Gomorrah and these places were an example that you should how to live, not to live that way, because the Lord will judge you in the end. And guess what these devils have done? They've lived that way anyway. They've disacknowledged the scriptures. So it says, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversations of the wicked. For that righteous man, and Lot today represents who? Represents the Akim teaching this word, man. The brothers that hopefully will be delivered from this place. That's who Lot represents today. So it says, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. For that righteous man dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. And that's what happens with us. We vex with this kingdom, man. All right, but that's why we're enjoying the decline of this place. We've been patiently waiting for this anyway. So we're loving what we're seeing anyway. We do the videos on it. We curse it out. The only thing we're waiting for is the chariots and ultimately the nuclear missiles to finally do away with this kingdom, man. Because we know what it is. We know more than the average goyim of society, because the Lord's opened our eyes, man. For that righteous man dwelling among them, in seeing and hearing, vexed his righteous soul from day to day with their unlawful deeds. All right. The Lord knoweth how to deliver the godly and out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness and despise government, presumptuous are they, self-willed. They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. You know? So that's the point, pretty much, in verse 9, that the Lord knoweth how to deliver the ungodly out of temptation, and to reserve the unjust unto the day of judgment to be punished. Yeah, that's all. The unjust is all the people that are down with this place, basically. You know? All these demons, they're such demons. The kingdom's sinking, but these people are so into wickedness, they're just clinging on to it right to the very end. You know? Right to the very end, man. So this is Revelation 18 and 21. It says, well, I'll read it here. I'll read from 21. Revelation 18:21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea. Yeah, this is the end of America, basically. This is the end of Babylon the Great. This is the climax of what's going to happen to, as they say, Western civilization, man. This is the end of it right here. Revelation 18:21. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. All right, and that's going to be the end of this place. The end of the LGBTQ agenda, the end of Planned Parenthood, the end of, unjust laws, the end of the prison systems, the end of, all this wickedness that we see, basically, man. The end of these little gremlins getting free reign to, like, this society. Another part of this wickedness is you get all these gremlins with weapons harming one another and whatnot. Esau can stop this overnight, but he doesn't. He allows chaos. He allows madness in his kingdom. But guess what? The Lord's going to bring this end destruction to your place, man. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. All right? And that's the end of this. That's going to be the end of this kingdom, man. All right? The Lord's going to destroy it with the nuclear missiles, the chariots, which are the angels. All right? The hopeful elect are going to have some of the brothers of the hopeful elect, whoever the Lord chooses to give that power to, are going to have spiritual power. All right? So there's going to be all kind of destruction taking place, man. All right, but it said thus with violence. So it's going to go down in a harsh way, man. Just the way it was built is the same way it was going to go down. All right. So, with that, I'm just going to say all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the Akim teaching this word. Shalom. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kudash Brakatham. Shalom.